Well, hello everyone. It's Monday again, and it was a very, very, very interesting. Yeah, just an interesting weekend. I mean, you can never really trust weather forecasters. You really can't, because they were saying it was going to be a very bad rain weekend throughout the week, and Saturday turned out gorgeous and wonderful at Sherwood, and uh, yeah, Sunday wasn't too bad either. We got a little rain in the afternoon, but nothing like they were saying. So that's a good lesson right there. So hello everyone. Wow. Okay, Jan and Katsurita. Hey, and Kathy and Tanya. Wow. Hello, and Kristen. Woohoo! Yes, that is a yeah. Great to see all of you. And yes, Alicia is completely right. Don't forget to like and share the stream. We really appreciate it. So put that up. Um, Really? And Alicia is saying that she actually wanted to be a meteorologist for a while. I did not know that. That is very fascinating. Hmm. Well, I'm be curious to find out what changed your mind or kept you from going that route. That would be interesting. Yes, and Kristen is totally right that 8,000 people through the gates at Sherwood on Saturday. Pretty amazing. Actually, very amazing. And hey, Drew, great to see you. Great to see you. Definitely. Yeah. Ah, always good. Yes. It was a very very good weekend. I have to say I was very very pleased. Uh, it yeah, I just had a great time. You know those weekends where you get to when you're at fair and you get to just hang and enjoy it, and it doesn't really feel like work in a way. I mean, you're just playing music and having fun, or hanging with your friends and having fun and doing all of that. It was that kind of weekend. Even on the afternoon on Sunday when it was raining a little bit, still just relaxed and enjoyed it. When I came home last night, wasn't even tired. That I don't know if that's really happened so far this whole season of Faire for me. So that was a really nice thing. That was a lot of fun. So always a good thing. And Andrea, hey, great to see you. So yes, oh, and Andrew Benson on YouTube is saying that he wanted to be a meteorologist until he discovered computer science. Okay, yeah, understand. Wow. So I'm curious for y'all who said that, and Janine, hey, great to see you. Why the interest in meteorology? I mean, where did that stem from? I mean, but, you didn't go into it, but at one point you really wanted to. So why? Where did that come from? I'd really be curious. Um, so yeah, yeah, really curious. So yes, well, yeah, there is that. Laisha's saying my schedule is so insane that I have trouble hanging for more than 5 minutes, and that's true. I do schedule myself like crazy during the weekend. If anybody needs me for music, I try to help out and do what I can, especially for dance, because I'll. How do I say this nicely? There's few things sadder than dancers at fair dancing without music. It just looks like it. It's like having a three-dimensional object and having it be two-dimensional or one-dimensional. It just feels wrong, like it's a wasted opportunity. So if I can ever help with dancing, I always try to, whatever fair I'm at, because it makes a huge difference, not just for the viewers, but for the dancers. They have a lot more fun when they get music. It has that feeling of being more real, and I think they really appreciate it. And so yeah, I try to help out whenever I can. And yeah, she's saying that she just really loved science. Meteorology was fun. Okay. And yeah, now I do understand there's a huge trend, for the whole storm spotter and going after tornadoes and all of that, that people, storm chasers, that is popular, especially in the Midwest, which down here in the far south, maybe not as familiar with. But it does seem like a lot of people do like that. And Drew says he really doesn't know why more people at fairs haven't picked up recorders. Drew, it's funny you mentioned that because I've started a new show this season. I mean, I did a little bit last year, but for those 3 weekends of Sherwood that we had before it shut down. But I've been trying it every weekend this year to teach people about the recorder with examples and a little bit of history, but fun history, not making it too academic, and yeah, letting them know the wonders that are the recorder and why I think it's an amazing instrument that really deserves a lot more credit. And it's, if you've ever played any type of wind instrument before, at least a woodwind, I mean, whether it's an oboe to a saxophone, it's really easy to pick up and have fun with. It's like a portable version of a sax or a clarinet or whatever. And so really a lot of fun. Definitely a lot of fun. Oh, and hey Diana, great to see you. Ah, always good. Oh, and Andrew on YouTube says that it for him it was just directly observable science. He still keeps a rain gauge just to make sure. And he lives in San Antonio, so it floods. That makes sense. That makes sense. So it's just sort of like a hobby that you thought might turn into a career, but it didn't quite work out. I can understand that. I can understand that. And Andrea says that she, yeah, saw a Yamaha recorder for $12 and thought about buying it. You know, I mean, that's even a good Yamaha recorder is surprisingly good quality. Those $12 Yamahas, they're pretty good. Although, if you want to go one step up from that, the higher level of Yamahas are around $20 to $22 or so, and they are very good. It's not much more money, and it's, I mean, I could play that out at Faire and I wouldn't have a problem with it. Those are good recorders. There's only one step above that in my mind, and those are around the $35 to $40 range for the Yamaha plastic recorders, and they're sort of like the pinnacle. But yeah, I mean, those $12 recorders, honestly, I don't know if I would want to. Well, I could if I had to, I could get away with playing one out at Faire, and I'd be okay. It wouldn't be a problem. It's sort of on the lower end of what I'd be comfortable with, but it is a good solid recorder, and for $12, an amazing value. So I recommend it. Um, oh, and Andrew says he spent a lot of time in Colorado, so yeah, okay. The storm tracking, I get that. Well, I don't know how many of you were with us last week for Gathering on Thursday, because Fugly was there, and just always fun, always a lot of fun. Oh, let me jump over to that here. Here we go. Yeah, Fugly, and that was a great. I mean, he always puts on a great show and very interesting, good traditional music, because he also does a lot of gaming music, but this was more of his traditional music, and it was a lot of fun. So if you didn't check it out, please go back and check it out. It's still online on YouTube and Facebook, so good opportunity. But yeah, I really like that. Now, there are more rent fairs open now than there were before. I mean, they keep growing. We're kind of getting into that season now where you see a lot, but also COVID canceled a bunch in the early spring, so some of them didn't show up. But now we're starting to see those numbers rise. So a lot of great options. A lot of great options. Yeah, let's see. Alicia came up with a great idea to come up with to put it all on a map. So we're trying this today. Let's see what you think. There you go. A little bit of where some of the fairs are. I mean, you have two in, let's see, you have two in Tennessee and two in Texas and one in several other states. I mean, a good range around the country. Not so much West Coast, but still a pretty good range. So we've got in Texas, you've got the Scarborough Renaissance Festival in Waxahachie and the northeast side. And then, of course, where I am near Austin, you've got the Sherwood Forest Fair. Boom. Then right above that in Oklahoma, you have the Castle Muskogee Fair, the Oklahoma Renaissance Fair. So northeast Oklahoma. And then, now this is one that I had not been familiar with. That was in Slaterville, Utah, the Utah Renaissance Festival. I mean, I've heard of it, but I didn't know it was in Slaterville, Utah, and I didn't know it went on now. So it's a Utah Renaissance Festival and Fantasy Fair. So if you're in that area, maybe something to check out. And then, oh yeah, we also have Iowa, and that jumped out at me. So, yeah, the Council Bluffs, Iowa, the Midlands Renaissance Revel, so something to look at as well. And then up in Michigan, too. That was kind of cool. In Marshall, Michigan, the Royal Stag Renaissance Fair. Then, of course, jumping over a little more east, you get to Connecticut. So in Harwinton, Connecticut, Robin Hood's Fair. So a little more akin to the Sherwood Forest Fair that I've been at this last weekend. So that's something to look forward to for this weekend. And then Maryland as well, which is always nice. Crownsville, Maryland, the Viking Experience. Now, I was just commenting to Alicia earlier that that Vikings. I mean, the Viking thing is so in, and it has been for a while. I mean, I remember 20 years ago when the whole Celtic thing was huge. When you had the late 90s and early aughts, when everybody started wearing kilts and river dance was all the rage, and everything was Celtic at Fair. I mean, it started with Celtic weekends and doing all of these huge events, and that's where that kind of got big. And then a few years after that, Pirates of the Caribbean came out, and we started a new game at Fair, which was how many Jack Sparrows can you spot during the day? And then they made the game harder with how many different Jack Sparrows can you spot during the day. God, that was a really tough game. It got tough. So then Pirates have been huge for a while, and now we're at Vikings. And certainly some of the television shows that have been out have played a part in that. But no, it's quite interesting. So it doesn't surprise me that some fairs jumped onto that. Okay, then we go to Tennessee, where there are two fairs. Let's see, the Tennessee Pirate Fest in Harriman, Tennessee, and the the Tennessee Renaissance Festival in Arrington, Tennessee. So that is always good. And Kristen says, Vikings are so in, I'm almost sick of Vikings. Well, I'm glad you're not in Minnesota, because that would be a problem. But yes. Oh, yes. Oh, and now we're going into different cosplays. So yeah, I'm going to move on to the Georgia Renaissance Festival in Fairborn, Georgia, just about 30 minutes south of Atlanta. Not too bad. And then down all the way to Florida with in Dade City, Florida, with the Bay Area Renaissance Festival. So for those of you who are keeping score, that is 12 different Renaissance fairs going on now. And I'm sure we missed a couple of small ones. There's always a few that don't make the main lists nationally, and they're only known in their region. But we tried to find as many as we could. So, yes. So what did you think? Is the map helpful at all? Do you think that's a good thing? We'll probably try to do some posts with that and have the list up and everything later. But I kind of like this approach. It kind of gives you a nice view of what it is on a map around the U.S. You can kind of, depending on where you are watching from, see if it's close. So yeah. Oh yeah, and interesting. Okay, so yeah, a few of you are talking about some of these being close. So maybe the map is a good idea. And Tanya says she likes it. Okay, cool. That's great. Yeah, we'll keep it going. This is just a version, I wouldn't even call 1.0. We put this together today, and I think it's more like 0.5. I think it was the beta version is where this is, so it'll get better. But okay, you like the idea, so we will definitely keep this. Probably going to be a lot of changes going on with Fair Life and Life's a Fair over the next week or two. Complete revamp of many things, so we'll talk to you about that in the future. I'm just giving you a heads up on that. And then she just put in, it's like version 0.5. Jinx, yes. I think I said it first though. Just saying, because that the delay, lag. So I don't think it was technically a jinx. Okay. Okay. And Janine's saying that likes the map and could try to promote a community ed class to go to one in Utah next year. Excellent. Yeah, I mean, often, since I'm Austin based, and I usually concentrate more on the Midwest and Southeast for fairs. I have ventured out into the Northeast and sometimes the Southwest, but it's generally you kind of stick to a region. You can only do so many fairs during a year if you do, one after another, because some fairs are 6-8 weekends in a row, and that kind of limits you a bit. So you tend to stick to a few. And, it's easy to forget all of these other fairs that are around the country. and they're so much fun and so nice. So yeah, yeah, something to check out. So if any of these are close to you, take a look because I think you might have some fun. Get back into the fair game because I can't tell you how much I missed it, and I've been so happy at Sherwood because it is a lot of fun. It is a lot of fun. I know. I mean, I only have one regret. I mentioned earlier that I schedule myself with a bunch of different things throughout the day, and I wish I could hang out and spend a little more relaxation, hanging out with friends time over the weekend because, yeah, we during the day I'm just going from point A to point B all day long normally. But I'm trying. This last weekend, I'm going to make a serious effort to hang out with people more. That's the goal. I've already talked to a few people about this, and I'll talk to more, and we'll see what we can do because yeah, I feel like I haven't had as much of a chance to hang out with people this year as I have in the past, and that is not good. So we need to take care of that. And Drew's signing up for Comic Palooza in July. Excellent, excellent. Yes, yes. Uh, yeah, and Kristen is talking about Sherwood in May is way too hot. It's not going to be that way next year. They're going to go back to March and April, and they moved it. But I will still go to bat and say that it was a really good idea for them to move it this year, because honestly, even in April for me, it was like a 50-50 shot whether they would open, and they managed to do it. If it had they tried to open in March, I don't think it would have made it. So I think it was the right decision, and we got all 8 weekends in, so I'm okay with it. Oh, and Kristen, yes, especially because I am with Alan Adale so much, and you two are together a lot during the day, obviously. Yeah, I do get to hang out with you, so that is definitely a bonus and always fun. It's been great getting to know you a lot better, definitely. Um, yes, and Elisha is right. There are other fairs. I know that for Kristen, it in May it seems hot. It's not really hot. So far, my record, if you're curious, if you're keeping score, was years ago. There was a first year fair called what is it, the King Richard's, or not King Richard's? It was um, oh gosh, now I'm trying to remember the name. Uh, wow, I'm gonna have to try to remember that. Now I just forgot. But anyway, it was a fair in Oklahoma that they put in July, and it was first year trying it. It was about 113 degrees in the shade. It was so hot. That's the only time in my life I've ever had heat exhaustion. It was really rough. That was hot and a mistake. And the following year, they moved it to, because the King Arthur Pendragon Fair. Now I remember it. Okay. So, yes, they moved it the following year to a different time of year, and that was much better. They learned their lesson, like you do after a first year. You always learn lessons. But, yeah, comparatively, this Sherwood is really not that hot. And a lot of it is just accepting it and going with it and taking good care of yourself. Ah, so okay, okay. Um, yeah, definitely. Well, definitely, I hope to see some of you at Sherwood this last weekend, so we can talk a little bit, and I'll definitely make more of an effort to do it because, yeah, this last weekend affair, so strange to think about that. Wow. Okay, well, let's go back over here. We'll remember to continue with the map part. I like that a lot. Huh. Right? And yeah, you're right. Oklahoma can get very, very hot. Huh. Yes, yes. Um, it is. That is always one of the problems. Every once in a while, I'll go to a fair where the stage I'm on is in direct sunlight and it's just right in my eyes, like a huge spotlight. Yeah, and 30-minute show, I'm like, oh my goodness. And then, of course, the audience is in shade, but they don't think about the people on the stage who are not sitting down and are sometimes jumping around and exerting themselves a lot more. It's tough. So, luckily, Sherwood Forest, partly because, well, it's a forest, a lot of the stages are in the shade for the audience and the performers. So I like that. But not every fair has done that. Um, There's always that a small little stage that is just in direct sunlight that is rough. And for new fairs, you kind of have to give them a pass on that because, you get better. It just happens. Oh, yes, yes, yes. So, okay. I guess let's go ahead and look at uh, our seven reasons today. Um, I thought long and hard about this, what to do for 7 reasons, and what I came up with was 7 ways to pick the best day to go to fair. Now, since we kind of already talked about this a little bit, that this just kind of works. I like it. But yeah, so 7 ways to pick the best day to go to fair. So let's start this. Number 7. Number 7 is to look at the entertainment schedule. Because, I mean, come on, it's the entertainment schedule. That's, a lot of fairs will post their entertainment schedule online, or they'll at least show you what entertainers are going to be there and what weekends they will be there. So just look at what entertainers you really want to see, and then make sure you are on a weekend where as many of them as possible that they're there. And that's a good way to choose. That's kind of the default way if you spend a little time on their website and look ahead. I'm a huge fan of that. Number 6, the sixth way to pick the best day to go to fair. Here we go. Themed weekends. Now, not all fairs do this, but a lot do. It's a lot more common now than it used to be, where they will theme different weekends, and the entertainment normally reflects that. Like they'll have a Celtic weekend, sometimes they'll have like a romance weekend or a pirate weekend or, something like that. And if you're wearing garb, you might want to have garb that, whatever theme you go with works for that weekend so you can kind of enjoy it a little more. And that's a good way to pick, I think. Always fun. So yes. Okay, number 5 is listen to the weather forecast. I mean, hey, it's a good thing to do. Check it, recheck it, because it constantly updates day to day in the week before. And pretty much whatever you see the week before, like the 5 or 6 days before fair starts, is a lie. I mean, it's just not going to be that way. It will never be that way. So you kind of have to wait for a couple of days before the weekend to kind of say, this is starting to get credible now. So that's kind of when you have to decide. So maybe have a couple of weekends in mind and, a couple of days before, kind of make the decision. If it's way too rainy and you don't want to deal with that, okay. If it's way too hot and you don't want to deal with that, okay. I mean, everybody's got their tolerances, and I totally respect that. Oh. And, yeah, Drew is saying that people whine about some of the themed weekends at TRF, and they really change nothing. And Drew is right. I mean, the themes, it affects, sometimes, occasionally it affects some of the outfits that the cast and sometimes performers wear a little. It sometimes will affect the scenario, the story that the cast goes through. Sometimes, not always. And sometimes it'll affect what entertainers are there, because entertainment directors, they will try to make sure that they have entertainers for that weekend that match the theme. Like on Celtic weekend, they might bring in a bagpiper that they don't normally have there, or a Celtic band and bring them in just for that weekend. And they'll do things like that. So you can get that, but the general fair, other than that, it doesn't really change. So don't let that completely decide it for you. And I agree with Drew that is a good point. And Jan says, what weekend does the soccer team have a bye? And with kids, yeah, that's kind of that's another factor, yeah, you have to consider. But that's, when you have kids, that's a factor you have to consider with everything you do, not just fair. Okay, number 4, random chance. Yes, go the random chance route. Just randomly pick something and go with it. No, you never know, just have fun. Yes, you can just do random chance and later regret the decision, but it'll be interesting. So, yeah. Nothing wrong with the dartboard approach sometimes. It saves you from agonizing over a decision. I recommend it. Number 3, ignore the bird, follow the river. If you don't get the reference, well, I'll let's see if anybody gets the reference in the comments. But it essentially means forget everything else and base it on what works for you. You know, basic on just simple common sense. You know, don't worry about the magic or any of that. Just just go with the basics. So, if any of you got the reference, I'd be interested. It's a little obscure, but you know me, a little obscure. Number 2, when all else fails, be prepared. And what does that mean? Hey, that just means pick a day at Faire, head towards it, bring your cloak, bring your sunscreen. Always. I mean, I don't care if it says, the forecast says it's going to be a sunny day. Have your cloak in your vehicle because you never know. You want that. You want to be prepared. And that way you're covered regardless. And rain days, some people complain about rain days, but I know some of the best memories I've ever had at Faire happened on rain days. And I've talked to other people who've said the same thing. It kind of forces you to think outside the box, try different things, go places you might not normally go, hang out with people that you might not normally hang out with, and often cool things happen. So, wow, we're going with the Lion King. Okay, that's funny. Yeah, okay. So, number 1. The number 1 way to pick the best day to go to Faire. And that is, best day, go every day. I mean, come on. I mean, just picking one day? What are you doing? That's crazy talk. Yeah, just, cover your bases. Place bets on multiple weekends. Spread it out. And out of that, you will have a great time for sure. So, hedge your bets. So that, oh, and Drew is saying a real rain day is so rare. He's not. I see your point. Usually you get rain warnings, and you might get some sprinkles now and then, but an actual full-on pouring down of rain all day, it actually doesn't happen much. So it's something to remember. And especially at the larger fairs, a lot of the stages are covered, sometimes even partly indoors. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of options there. Oh, and Andrea says that this season has some great memories on the rainy days for me. Yeah, me too. Definitely. Always good. Okay, well, let's see. That was 7 reasons. I hope you liked it. Well, now I do want to tell you about Thursday. A lot of changes going on with Life's a Faire, like I said, and we'll be announcing some of that in the near future. But as a result, we are not doing anything this Thursday. So you get a week off from that. So no worries about that. But I will see you back on next Monday for Faire Life. And so look for some more info there. So yeah, a lot of fun, a lot of good stuff. And yes, from what I can tell, nobody got my Willow joke. My reference. Oh well, Willow, such a good film. Yes, ignore the bird, follow the river. That was closer to the beginning of the movie. Oh yeah, and Janine says mud is the worst part of rain days in the field. Some areas are clay, which is the worst. I see. Yeah. But I have memories of people at Faire just having a slip and slide day where it's so muddy. They just say, it's I'm already soaked, I'm already mud encrusted, I'm going to have fun, and they just go and have fun. Just play in the mud, play in the dirt. And you get to that point because you learn that you can only get so wet. After a while, you're kind of like, what am I stressing over? So just have fun with it. I know. And Kristen is upset because next Monday it'll be after the last weekend of Faire, and you kind of get that immediate Faire withdrawal, that Faire sadness, where afterwards you realize it's going to be a while before Faire happens again, and that is a sad thing. But that's also why there are other fairs. I mean, yeah, Scarborough will be going on a bit after Sherwood. So, and it's like 2.5 hours away or so from Austin. It's not that far, especially by Texas standards. So it's, I mean, there are other fairs you can go to and have fun with to kind of prevent the sadness, mitigate it at least. Always good. Oh, and Andrew on YouTube says that he paid good money for his cloak and boots, and he's getting his money's worth. That is so true. I've said the same thing. I mean, my cloak this past weekend, I made good use of it, and my boots. Oh yeah, no worries. I mean, I'll walk it through that puddle. I'm not going to walk around it. Why should I? I've got good boots for this. I don't have to worry. So yeah, I will walk through that puddle with pride. Oh yeah, and Janine says that they worry about vehicles getting stuck, and that is very true. When you park, that is something to consider. Um, Take a look at where you park when you do get to Fair. Make sure you don't just park where your tires are just right into a huge bit of mud. Make sure you're on top of at least some grass that doesn't seem too mush, and that even if it gets bad, you can ease out without getting stuck. Um, but the good news is generally at Fair they they do have trucks there. The Fair usually does that are there specifically to unstuck people. Um, it Yeah, it is very helpful. I've seen it at TRF for years. Um, oh, why? Thank you, Kristen. She's admiring my boots. Thank you, thank you. Um, what are Andrew's boots? Well, the sad part is that the company that makes them, I got them a little over a year ago, and wore them for 3 weekends of Sherwood, and then they closed, and I was kind of like, son of a. But yeah, it worked. But yeah, the company, unfortunately, because of COVID, closed. So I was one of their last customers. It's a shame. They were based out of Arizona, but that has happened. There have been a lot of vendors who have had to, yeah, had to stop. But the good news is that there are some really great ways to spruce up your own boots. I mean, get custom conchos and laces and really do some cool stuff. So you can really do some great stuff. But boots, all different prices. But for some good ones, you kind of have to at least start at around 200 and work your way up to as much as 1,000 if you want some really customized, high quality boots. It gets crazy for the really nice leather. But you can start at around the 200 range, and it's not too bad. If you don't mind ankle boots or more medieval moccasins kind of thing, going that route, they can get cheaper than that. It just depends on your outfits. Oh, and sandlars. I mean, there are several different good places to get them. Oh, and yeah, honestly, that is a good point from Kristen that her boots are full leather English riding boots from 1991. They're falling apart, but one thing I've noticed is that women do have a lot more options in that regard. I mean, a lot of boot options for women, and some of them do look fairly traditional, and some of them are even made well that will last. So yeah, you can find some good stuff that way. Men, I haven't found anything that's inexpensive that you can easily get other than the standard moccasin stuff that's soft leather that you can find, the kits or just get your own from um, that are under $100. But even then, it's still, I they're okay, but I still recommend going at least one step up from that because they don't, they're not quite as waterproof as I would like. I've found. And that's something maybe I should look at some point, trying to put together a really comprehensive list of how to get a really good costume or outfit together, suggestions for where to shop and things to look for. I might try to start doing that. I think we might have to do some segments on that. Would you all be interested in that? Would that interest you at all? To like have a segment on boots and talk about all the different ones and pros and cons and because you know me, I do the research. I'm not going to just throw out some random This is what I recommend. It will be some serious. This is what I recommend and why kind of stuff. You will. It will be thoroughly researched. So, if do you, y'all would be interested in that? Okay, okay, I can certainly do that. And it wouldn't just be me. I would ask around because I know a lot of people who know what they're talking about there. Yeah, and I think I can probably cover at least most of the country with what's available. Yeah, yeah, so I can do that. Okay, I'm making a note. I think that's a good idea. Okay, I like that. So yeah, once again, good meeting. Yeah, you come up with great ideas, y'all. Thank you, thank you. Always appreciated. Always appreciated. Okay, yeah, I think that could be good. I mean, I've found some great hacks over the years for just to get some good looking outfits. I get like the boots I had before the ones I have now. Um, yeah, I've seen other people wear them, but what I did was that they were around 160, $170 or so. They're faux leather and all of that, but they do look good. Um, I just needed some boots really quick, so I bought them in a pinch just to say, okay, I'll get these, and those will be my backups, and I'll try something else. I actually ended up just wearing those for a while because they were very comfortable and worked very well. But I updated them with the conchos, the little buttons on there that you wind the leather laces around. They're called conchos, and the default ones that they came with, which you tend to see on other people's boots who wear them, I just replaced them. I mean, they're not that expensive. You just invest in the theme you want, and then I got the laces I wanted. I went with blue to kind of make them look very different, so they don't look like everybody else's boots. And you can customize it, and it's a great way to do it, to spend not much money on a decent set of boots. They don't last forever because they are faux leather, but they're waterproof and they will last several years if you take care of them. Um, and for that is, and that's from somebody like me who goes on the road. So if you're just going to a weekend here or there, they will last you many years if you take care of them. So yeah, definitely something to consider. So yeah, I'll look at putting something like that together, and that is definitely a good idea. Alrighty, well, I think that's all I have for today. As always, it's been a pleasure. Always fun to talk with you and hang out. And I will, at the very least, see you next Monday, and hopefully see some of you this weekend. So have a good one. Take care, and well, have a fair life.